Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be episode 109 for you guys today. Of course, this episode will be coming out all four of our platforms: our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So let's go ahead and dive into episode 109. I'll be sharing my thoughts on NBA free agency and the events that have happened thus far, the events and the signings that have stood out to me thus far the most during NBA free agency. So, number one off my list is I'm happy that Damian Lillard has finally requested a trade out of Portland. It's been a long time coming. This is honestly 2 years late. If you want my honest opinion, I thought he should have did it at the end of the 2021 NBA season. But here we are now. Everything's come full circle, and Damian Lillard has finally requested a trade to be out of Portland and get away from the Portland Trail Blazers. So, can't fault Damian Lillard here. He's been the definition of loyal. When you look up the definition of loyal in NBA terms, he has stayed loyal to the city of Portland. He has stayed loyal to the Trailblazers organization. He's in the category of loyal players that I would say that Giannis would be staying with the Milwaukee Bucks when times got rough and helped them win a championship. He's in the definition of loyal when Bradley Beal stayed loyal to the Washington Wizards and did everything he could with that respective franchise. Now Damian Lillard has finally opened his eyes and realized he cannot win there. He has nothing to be ashamed of. He gave everything he did to the city of Portland for 11 years and helped them get all the way once upon a time to the Western Conference Finals, playing against the Golden State Warriors years ago. And he stayed loyal to the franchise even when they traded C.J. McCollum a year ago before the NBA trade deadline. When they traded him to New Orleans Pelicans, even watched his tag team partner C.J. McCollum get traded and still didn't complain. He stayed loyal to them for as long as he could. And Damian Lillard still has a lot to offer. He's 32 years old. He'll be 33 come the start of the NBA season since his birthday is in July this month. But he would be great to several championship contenders, teams like the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics. I think he'd be a good fit in New York with the New York Knicks. There's so many places that Damian Lillard could go to. The Milwaukee Bucks. I can sit here and go on how many great championship caliber teams he could go to, but he has only said that he wants to play for one team and one team only, and that's my Miami Heat. And I got my fingers crossed that the Trailblazers get this deal done. I think it is going to take a few weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, before we see Damian Lillard on the move. I do believe it's going to take at least 3 to 4 teams to get involved because I don't think that the Trailblazers are going to be so interested in getting packages with just Tyler Hero. I think there's going to be more teams that have to get involved. But fingers crossed that Damian Lillard comes to Miami. And speaking of Miami Heat, I'm going to be discussing their free agent moves. So far since NBA free agency started last week, they lost 3 players during NBA free agency. They lost Gabe Vincent, their starting point guard, who went on and signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. They lost their another guy that was in the starting lineup, mainly throughout the playoffs, Max Strus. He went on and signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they lost Victor Oladipo. They traded him to the Oklahoma City Thunder for some future draft picks. I think there could be second round draft picks. But we lost those 3 guys during NBA free agency thus far. I'm very proud of Gabe Vincent, and I'm very proud of Max Strus. Both guys went undrafted. They learned from Eric Spoelstra. They learned from veteran guys like Udonis Haslem that's been a part of the Miami culture. Guys like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo have been paving the way for the Miami Heat over the last few years. These two guys balled out, made a name for themselves, especially during this previous playoff run that the Miami Heat went on. They couldn't have done it without those 2 players, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. So they are valuable players. Even though they had their mistakes that they made during the NBA Finals, there is some good fit. The Cavaliers and Max Strus, that's a good pickup. And the Lakers getting Gabe Vincent, both are good pickups. And I'm looking forward to what those guys are going to bring in the future. But the Miami Heat signed Josh Richardson. He'll be back with the Miami Heat. He was there for some years. I think he was a part of the Jimmy Butler trade package back in the summer of 2019. So he's back with the franchise. I think that's going to be a good guard, a good shooter to bring off the bench. I think he's going to get his minutes worth in Miami next season. They re-signed veteran player Kevin Love, who was added before the NBA trade deadline. After the NBA trade deadline, they signed him off their waiver. So Kevin Love's back. And they also signed Thomas Bryant. I do like the pickup of Thomas Bryant. I think it's a solid pickup, a good power forward. to bring in to play alongside Bam Adebayo and have a good front court duo in the starting five. He played solid minutes for the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers before he got traded to the Denver Nuggets. So I think Thomas Bryant's going to be a good pickup to play alongside Bam Adebayo. Size matters, and that's what hurt the Heat during the NBA Finals when they try to get Cody Zeller on the court to match up against Jokic and those big body guys of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. that they have in Denver. Big, massive pickup for Thomas Bryant, having him over Cody Zeller. So moving on to the Los Angeles Lakers free agents moves. I honestly believe that the Los Angeles Lakers are currently winning free agency thus far. They have made the best moves, and I think they're winning NBA free agency right now. And here's why. They remain loyal to their core, despite the fact that Kyrie Irving was a free agent before he signed his 3-year deal to re-sign with the Mavericks. James Harden possibly going on the move, which I'm going to talk about in a few moments. Draymond Green potentially hitting free agency before he re-signed with the Warriors. All the big names that were out there, they decided to stay loyal to their core that they had a good run with. Went 18-8, 18-9, heading into the playoffs, and went all the way to the Western Conference Finals. They did not blow up this core. They kept this core and re-signed the guys with Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and D'Angelo Russell back to bring them back next season. And not only that, they signed good role players to play alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis to help out this core as well. They signed Cam Reddish. They signed Jackson Hayes. I think he's going to play a good part when Anthony Davis is unavailable at nights to be a good rim protector, somebody that you want protecting the paint. Another big man that they added, and Taquan Prince. So they've been adding pieces. They re-signed their core. I like what the Lakers are doing. In my opinion, they won NBA free agency so far. And I like this roster a lot. They have depth everywhere. Point guards gave Vincent, D'Angelo Russell. They still got the shooting of Austin Reeves. The defensive matchups of Rui Hachimura, Anthony Davis, Jackson Hayes, LeBron James is still going to be there. So I like this roster. I think they can compete with anybody in the Western Conference. I think they're going to be competing with those top names in the West, of the likes of the Nuggets, of the likes of the Warriors, of the likes of the Suns. I like this, and we'll see what happens with the Lakers. But 76ers are ready to move on from James Harden. Now, this is shocking to me. I really thought when I talked about it on the podcast a week ago, when I was predicting where the top 5 free agent names would land, I really thought that James Harden would re-sign with the Philadelphia 76ers because I thought that was the best fit for him. And I was completely wrong. The 76ers have openly expressed their feelings that they are ready to move on from James Harden, and he does not fit into their future plans that the franchise is going to have moving forward. So I do believe that the reports that I've seen over the last few days that the Clippers could be involved, the Knicks could be involved, the landing James Harden. I think that I read a report a few moments before I started the episode that the Clippers are prepared to take on a package, or the 76ers are prepared to deliver a trade package with James Harden, PJ Tucker, and to sell them to the Los Angeles Lakers. Who will come there, I'm not sure, but they have already expressed that Paul George is untouchable to get James Harden. So those are the 2 landing spots I see him. James Harden is still a good player. He's still a good regular season player. He has his moments in the playoffs. He's like an off switch. You don't really know what you're going to get from him. At times would be good. He could give you points, buckets here and there, like we saw in the second round against the Boston Celtics, and then he could have flat performances. That's who James Harden has always been in the playoffs. But he's no longer capable of being a star player. He has to play alongside of a star that's currently better than him. That's where James Harden is in his career. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. And last but not least, the Houston Rockets are making some big moves. They have made some key free agency signings so far. They used their cap space to sign Fred VanVleet. They used their cap space to sign Dillon Brooks and bring in veteran player Jeff Green, all signed to the Houston Rockets during NBA free agency. So I like the signings. All 3 signings, you get Jeff Green, who is a veteran player that's been around the NBA for a long time. He just helped the Nuggets win a championship. It was a good bench player in their rotation. So I believe he'll bring the same presence to the Houston Rockets next year. I like the signings of Fred VanVleet. I think he's a talented guard. It's going to be interesting to see how he runs the system and run Ime Udoka's system in Houston. And then Dillon Brooks, I think that's a good signing as well. I do have my tea to sip off of this, though. Let me get my tea for this. I got my tea to sip. So, and mind blows me that Dillon Brooks is worth $200 million. But at this particular point, Russell Westbrook is only worth $8 million. That's insane to me. But nonetheless, they used their money to get Dillon Brooks. I think that's going to be a good player. He has some improvements, but he's a good defensive player. Trash talking, he's going to have to keep that to a minimum. Hush it, zip, lock it, put it in your pocket, because when he trash talked, he couldn't back it up in the playoffs, and they were a disappointing first round exit. The Grizzlies were to the Los Angeles Lakers. So if Dillon Brooks could work on his game, work on his craft, working to stop trash talking as much and stop trying to be a wannabe Draymond Green on the court, I think it'd be all right. It could be a good gritty player to be a part of their rotation. But I'm looking forward to seeing the Rockets' young players of Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, all develop under Ime Udoka's offense and how they run things for the Houston Rockets. So I'm looking forward to that. I think they could be a sleeper team as the season goes on, if they play well and start off well. But those are my thoughts on NBA free agency thus far. These are the signings, and these are the big names and the big events that have stuck out to me the most during NBA free agency.